We just kind of had to have a lot of trust in each other that we would be ready. And also, I think we had to be able to take what the day gave us and what the race gave us, because I had no idea what his swim pace was at all. I had no idea. I had a little bit of idea how fast he was going to run, but I had no idea how the day was going to go. So I had to be happy with whatever happened and just kind of go with the flow as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Which seems like, honestly, like such a refreshing way to race.
Yeah,
It's like
totally.
kind of takes the pressure off. You're just like, hey, it's
Totally.
already going to be a
It
long
was just
day.
all about experiencing the
Just
course
kind
and
of go with.
yeah, it was fantastic. We ended up having an amazing day, much better than I thought we would, but that was just kind of the cherry on top of everything.
Welcome to the Low Tide Boyz, a swimrun podcast. I'm Chip.
And I'm Chris, and this is episode 245 of the show. Thank you for listening wherever you listen to podcasts or watching us on YouTube. Here we are.
Yes.
We're right here.
Give us a subscribe, thumbs up, all that good stuff.
All that stuff. We've got another race recap for everyone this week. Joining us to talk about the epic 2024 edition of the Rockman Swimrun are Ben Paxton and Cameron Holman. Did we mention epic?
Epic?
This race is a total beast at baseline, and this year's race course was extra beastly, to put it mildly. In this conversation, Ben and Cameron bring the race to life and make a very, very compelling case why you, dear listener, should add this race to your bucket list.
It borderlined on sponsored content. That's how good it was.
It was like, I mean, a lot of our shows end up being these like love fests.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It was good. I mean, I was like, oh man, this does sound good. But first, training update. Well, we have a training update. We have a Chipper's knee update. Training update. Chris is this weekend is headed off for his big 50K race, the Rut in Montana. Yes. So you're in taper mode.
I am in taper mode. I feel like I'm mentally hardened.
Great.
Honestly, a little bit inspired by Attila as well. Just like ready for, a hard day out there. But yeah, it's gonna be great.
And knee update after battling insurance companies for multiple days and many hours on the phone. My MRI is finally scheduled. So actually about the time of release, the MRI will have been performed.
We'll have seen Chipper's ligaments.
We'll have seen the innards of my knee. Right knee, no contrast.
No contrast.
Good. Not quite sure what that means, but that's what I keep having to tell people on the phone when I'm telling them.
That's good. Yeah. Well, contrast is when they stick a dye in you.
Oh,
so
yes.
When they do the thing.
No contrast, please.
Yeah. No contrast needed.
MRI.
That's good.
Hold the contrast on that. But I've been walking has been improved. A shout out to Alex, our mutual friend, Alex, fan of the show. He's a PT, so he's been giving me workouts. He's like, send me a video of your knee. Send me a video of your knee leg lifts. So,
yeah, and Alex,
I'm on the protocol.
Alex is a mensch, and when he feels like he has the ability to help in an area of his expertise, he will not be denied.
Yeah,
he will not be.
I'm leaning into it. I'm leaning into it. But thank you, everyone. Thanks for all the nice notes and messages, concerned citizens. Thank you so much. On to this week's shout out.
Yeah, so this week we're shouting out all the swimrunners that are heading to Orcas Island for Attila's first Orcas Island branded race. It's a magical course nestled in the beautiful San Juan Islands. And if we can just share a pro tip for everyone who's going to be out there, don't miss a right-hand turn or else you'll end up in the pit of despair. Don't do it.
Yeah.
One important right-hand turn when you're coming off a picket, you'll hear about it. Just do not miss that right-hand turn.
When I heard race director Brent Molesbury say, don't go to the pit of despair, I made a mental note. This is not a place.
Let's not go there.
I don't think I want to go. It's the pit of despair.
Certainly.
You can, heads up racing, but we'll be back at Orcas. We have to.
It's an amazing race. Amazing course.
Such amazing race. Beautiful, beautiful part of the country up there as well.
Certainly.
Now for this week's Feats of Endurance. So Chris and I are members of the Low Tide Boyz Strava Club. We're almost at 700 members strong, and we comb through the thousands of activities to dole and receive kudos in there to pry out this week's winner Feats of Endurance. We'd have to look too far, though. It's our friend Danny DeMonsta Divanov, who finished Ironman Santa Cruz 70.3, a great race this weekend, in a smoking time of 4:20. See what we did there? Smoking time.
Yeah, it was actually 4:21, but
I mean, It's better for
I'm
the
rounding
show.
down.
Yeah. So we have Chris and I don't know who exactly gave Danny the nickname of DeMonsta, but he is a monster and crushing that course in 420. Very impressive there. Congrats,
Yeah,
Danny,
for sure.
on the strong work. He swims at our pool and he rides his bike to and fro the pool. He's just an animal, or DeMonsta, which now you're probably beginning to understand how we earned the nickname.
Yeah, for sure. Been his nick as long as I've known him. That's been his
That
nickname.
has been his nickname. Head on over to Strava, search Low Tide Boyz, jump in the Low Tide Boyz Strava club there. I've been loving the community has piled up. We got a Attila race report written in there.
Yeah.
People chiming in on the races that they're doing. Really love the conversations happening in the Strava club.
Love seeing the posts. So if you're on the fence of posting on Strava, go for it. It's really cool to see the engagement there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get into our conversation about the Rockman Swimrun 2024 race cap.
Yeah.
Recap.
Yeah. So it was great to catch up with Ben and Cameron. Ben, you might know from Team Dark Wave, and Cameron, who's a North Carolina swim runner. We'll hear about it all on the show, and we'll get all the details of what really was an epic day in Norway. They didn't mention it in the conversation because they're like just cool swim runners. But Cameron finished second with his partner Thierry Elena from France. And Ben finished in third place with his partner Sindre Sorensen from Norway. So it's a really interesting story on how they were trying to find, for a while we're like, all right, they were racing together, but no, it was just two Americans who went out there, raced with swim runners that they'd literally just met. Wow. And, swim run magic ensued.
It happened.
It's great.
We somehow didn't get to the results of the race. They were too lamenting on how beautiful of an area it was and praising Thor's Rockman marketing skills.
Yeah, there's
great
a lot
conversation.
of sponsored content. And, once you watch this, if you're watching this on YouTube, go straight to the Rockman page.
Oh my gosh.
And watch Rasmus Ladenius's movie. It's 25 minutes. It'll inspire you. It'll surprise you.
Probably bring a tear to your eyes.
Yeah, it's certainly a tear. And yeah, it's great. You see Thor in costume. I was not prepared for that.
Thor in character.
But it was great. Thor puts on an amazing race. And as we mentioned at the beginning, after you listen to this conversation, you might be thinking about putting this on your bucket list.
Absolutely. Without further ado, let's rock and roll our way to the conversation with Ben and Cameron. Over and out. Papa was a rolling stone. Is that a song?
I don't know.
Right?
All right, so really excited to welcome to the show Team Buoy Busters, fresh off the heels of this year's Rockman Swimrun. But I think this year it's more of like swim height, extreme swim run. I don't know what we need to call this, but welcome to the show, Ben Paxton, Cameron Holman. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, stoked you guys are here. Obviously, folks who've listened to the show might recognize Ben, part of Team Dark Wave. And funny story about this race, I don't remember when it was, Ben, but 5-6 months ago, you sent us an email being like, hey, do you know anyone who wants to do Rockman? And Chipper and I were like, no. It's like, but we'll sort of see if anyone's interested. So why don't you tell us sort of the origin story, how you teamed up with Cameron and actually found your partner for this race that you wanted to do?
Yeah, that is a good story. Cameron and I actually didn't race together, but when I first heard I did Rockman in 2022 and loved it, and it was awesome, but I wanted to go back. And so I wanted to do it in 2020 pretty bad. And then I heard, when I heard the tour was going to put on this super epic Rockman in 2024, I knew I had to do it. So I originally signed up. I signed me and one of my friends up who I thought I could convince to do it. And he didn't want to do it. And so then I was signed up for the race because it sold out pretty quick. I wanted to get in. And I was looking forever for someone who wanted to do it. I was looking on the Facebook groups. I trolled triathlon sites, forums, looking for people who'd want to try this out.
Wow. Desperate.
I was desperate because I wanted to do this. So I ended up finding a guy on a triathlon forum, and he was from Stavanger. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but he was from Norway, where this race is held. He is a triathlete. And so I teamed up with him. And about a week after I teamed up with him, Cam messaged me on Facebook saying, "Hey, you still looking for a partner?" And I was like, "No, I just found Sindre." Shout out to Sindre and his wife Cecilia. They were awesome. But anyway, that's how I found my partner. I found Sindre on a triathlon forum after searching desperately for weeks. Yeah, I contacted you guys. I contacted Marcus. I contacted everyone who I knew to try and find a partner, but I eventually found someone. So persistence pays off. But yeah, Cam emailed me and I'm like, I already got a partner, but Cam found someone maybe in a similar manner. I don't know. How'd you find your partner? Because he was from France.
Yeah. So my partner was French. So very similar situation. It was kind of, the Rockman was posting on Instagram, like the countdown of how many slots were left. And I was like being very wishy-washy of whether or not I could do Rockman. And I was real nervous about signing up, but I really wanted to do it. And I totally fell into the legendary marketing for sure, which totally lived up.
Don't inflate Thor's ego on his Rockman marketing too much.
Truly. So I tagged Rockman on Instagram and I was like, listen, help me find a partner. And so they just reposted it. And I had a couple guys reach out and did FaceTime, and his name's Thierry Elena. He lives in Nice, France. So he's been on he's done all the French races and has done world championships a couple times. So a really stellar swim run athlete for sure. So we FaceTime. I was at work, they posted like 3 slots left and he was like, hey, like, listen, we're going to do this. And I was like, let's FaceTime. Let's figure it out. 20 minutes later, I was like, okay, what's your phone number in France and all that, so and that was it. And we just started messaging on WhatsApp for the next several months and training plans.
Yeah, so you're both training
Wow.
basically from really far afield. How did those conversations go? I mean, obviously this race is a total beast. How did, I guess, goal setting work in terms of like sort of setting your expectations for what you wanted to achieve on that day?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think for both of us, this was like a totally different feat. I mean, it was like you said, like it's a swim, run, hike, long, just endurance events. He's come from like, long distance, like adventure racing sort of background. So that helped a little bit as far as like, hey, you don't have to, go all out for some of these training sessions. It's all about, let's just build the endurance. It doesn't have to particularly be fast right now. He had an advantage of being in Nice because it's so mountainous there. And I live like on the flattest place in the United States on the East Coast of North Carolina. So for me, it was trying to translate like, all right, well, I'm doing, this amount of like Stairmaster and I'm doing this amount of, treadmill at incline, trying to sort of match a little bit of what I'm seeing him do on Strava as well. And then we would just kind of, coordinate or reconcile, I guess I'll say, every couple of weeks and just say, all right, well, this is kind of what these last couple of weeks have been for me, and just sort of adjust that way.
Nice.
Our process was very interesting because I live in Arizona and I do mostly trail running. I do ultras when I'm not swim running. And my partner Sindre, he's from Norway. He was a triathlete. He had done an Ironman triathlon recently, so that's a similar length event, but he mostly specializes in half Ironman triathlons. And he does those at a pretty high level. But he had only done one swim run before, so he had never really done a whole lot of swim runs. So this was new for him. And our training did not line up at all because he didn't start running and it was snow. It was snowed. All of his trails were snowed in Norway. I don't think he started doing trail running until April or May, and this race was in July. So
Wow.
our training was really weird because we would email each other what we were doing, but there was no way to match it up. We just kind of had to trust each other. I would tell him, I ran, 60 miles this week and I did this and that. And he would say, well, I did a 3-mile cross country skiing trip and I rode on my bike for, so our training was completely different. It worked out. We just kind of trusted each other to be fit enough to know what we were getting into and to be able to do it on the day of the race. So I came from pure distance, endurance, low speed, and he started out, running half marathons, doing a lot of biking, a lot of cross country skiing, and he worked on his endurance. And we kind of met in the middle there on race day, and it turned out really well. We were really well matched.
Nice. It's a good success story on making the long distance training plans work. How did you kind of approach your race, especially with such variable training? You both knew you had some level of fitness, but how did you, when you were on that, like how did you kind of set your target for the race? Was it a time, or you just wanted to go out there and feel like you had a good day, or just really experience in the adventure?
Yeah, I think we both kind of showed up not wanting to be the weakest link. So there's like some inherent, strength of like training in that respect. But I distinctly remember like talking like, all right, that specific question, like, what do we want out of this? And we're just kind of like, well, we just want to go out and have some fun. But I think we both sense like, all right, I think that we want to sort of be as competitive as we can in the realm of, or in the respect of, we only met like 12 hours previous. So it was, I think by the first third, we kind of realized like, okay, I think we kind of matched each other up, right? We're like, okay, we're going to hang together and this is going to be fine. And I think at that point we were like, okay, well, let's push a little bit and see what we can do. Yeah. And which worked out great.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned this idea of, not wanting to be the weakest link, because that's certainly something that, it's just another kind of unique feature about swimrun. It's right. You want to be there for your partner. You want to make sure that you're able to perform and you guys kind of move through the course together. So it's interesting, like, Chipper and I, we've been racing together for so long. It's like, it can go much more by feel because I just know him. I know his moods. I know what happens when he stops talking, what that means and whatnot. Or be super chatty, I know what that means too. But, if you just really met this person, like it just requires a lot more kind of trust, kind of to what you were saying, Ben. It's like, yeah, it's like you just have to trust that this person's going to show up and kind of do their part. Is that kind of how it felt for you guys? Like when you're out there, essentially racing with strangers, just being like, hey, I'm just going to trust you. Let's have a positive kind of growth mindset with this stuff and let's see what we can do.
You're just kind of fast tracking this swim run partnership here, in the first hour or two. And I think we were both pretty open with the communication to start. There's one section, you finish the first couple swims and you start to climb up to Pulpit Rock. And it's for kind of one of the, the first big climbs and starting to feel good. And I was just pretty honest. I was like, listen, we got a long race ahead. Like, let's tempo this back just a little bit because I don't know, I haven't done an 11-hour race in a really long time. So I was like, too much race left. Let's get to the rock and then see how we feel. And of course, I mean, he was like super receptive to that. He was like, yeah, awesome. Let's do that. And, we dialed the pace back and kind of found our stride in a little while.
And that's where communication is important because he could have been thinking it's like, oh my God, I can't keep this pace up for 11 hours. I hope, it's like, it's something.
It's
oh,
like,
you
I'm
did.
glad he said something.
Like, yeah, dial back. No problem. No problem at all.
Big relief. Yeah.
We just kind of had to have a lot of trust in each other that we would be ready. And also, I think we had to be able to take what the day gave us and what the race gave us, because I had no idea what his swim pace was at all. I had a little bit of idea how fast he was going to run, but I had no idea how the day was going to go. So I had to be happy with whatever happened and just kind of go with the flow as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Which seems like, honestly, like such a refreshing way to race.
Yeah,
It
totally.
kind of takes the pressure off. You're just like, hey, it's
Totally.
already going to be a
It
long
was just
day.
all about experiencing the
Just
course and
kind of go with.
yeah, it was fantastic. We ended up having an amazing day, much better than I thought we would, but that was just kind of the cherry on top of everything else.
Right. And then when you mentioned that you had to do Rockman again, like what part of it really called you back for that second time? And he really lucked out by having a partner with at least one Rockman experience under his belt already.
Yeah, it's an amazing race. I mean, I want to go back again. It's just amazing. It's epic. It's awe-inspiring. It's amazing. Like I want to do it again. I don't know how to explain it other than that. It's just an amazing race. It's an amazing place.
Yeah.
Sold.
It's totally beyond words. I mean, I feel the exact same way. It's just like, I mean, you can't explain it unless you do it, or you don't know what it's like until you do it. Right. But, when you try to talk about it, it's like, I mean, it's sort of life changing in some respect because it's just
every course, every
really
inch of that course is incredible. Like every part of it. It's awesome.
Agreed. And I don't think, and I've thought about it a lot, like if I would go, and would like to definitely go back, would I try to be competitive? And honestly, I think I would slow down. I would just like be out there for the adventure of the day, because it's just like, it's that sort of experience for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, obviously the hype videos do it justice, but at the same time do not do it justice, right? Because when your boots on the ground, particular features of the race that you're just like, yep, that's a quality core memory that I'll keep with me forever? Or is it just one
Is it the
continuous
stairs?
My
negative
size.
core?
That was my lowest. That's definitely a highlight and not a good one for me, but it is amazing. It really is amazing to do those stairs, because you can't, couldn't fathom like, all right, what's 4,000 steps? I don't know, until you like start to climb. Then you start to like look back, and then it starts to get really steep. And then the drop from the steps starts to get steep. And you're just like, this is incredible. Also scary, but really cool. So that's definitely a highlight. But a lot of races, like I can't remember many details about a lot of races, but I can sort of still partition this race into sections and still remember parts of that race, which is not like me, or not very, something that I typically keep track of. But for this race, like I can sort of reflect on those sections, and that's pretty neat.
Yeah, there are discrete sections. The first section up to
Right,
Pulpit Rock, the section, to the big fjord swim, then the fjord swim, the stairs. There are very discrete sections. For me, being on top of Pulpit Rock is amazing. I can still picture it, what it looks like up there, and it's wonderful. But the part of the race that really gets me, that I think about the most, is right before the longest swim across the fjord to the Florley steps. You do this swim across the entire fjord. It's about 1,800 meters. And you just go off on this little pier, and you're just looking across this fjord that you've been racing along and looking at all day. You've been looking at this water, and now you're about to jump in and swim across it. And it's just an amazing feeling to get to do something like that. It's amazing. Anyway, that was my favorite part of the race. Just standing on that pier, about to jump in and do one of the hardest swims of your life.
Yeah. For like, hours you've been trying to get to the other side. And then like, that's your moment. It's like, all right, this is where we get to go, like to the other side. We've been racing all day to get there. And that's a solid race. Like if you just race from the beginning to that point, like that's a solid day.
Yeah.
It's an amazing race. And then it just starts like that's the start of the race.
Yeah. Cause you're 5 or 6 hours in at that point, something like that. But yeah, you've had a decent day already. And then you do this huge swim. It's cool.
I feel like this is turning to sponsored content for
I know.
Rockman.
I was like, we're gonna have to send Thor a bill for this one.
And that's awesome. I mean, I love hearing that.
It sounds
this race
amazing.
It's cool.
sounds great.
Yeah, truly.
Let's talk about gear a little bit. So a race this long with like a height component. I know there was like a section where you had to like have a backpack and
Pants
stuff,
requirement and jackets and stuff. Yeah.
all sorts of stuff. So let's talk, for all the, the gearheads out there, including Chipper myself. It's like,
Present.
what do you guys do gear wise?
Yeah. So first of all, the swims at the top of the steps were cold. They were 11 degrees. I think it was the water temp. I forgot what the water temp was in the fjord and the lakes, but it was, I think it was cold, 12, 13, 14, something like that. I only have one suit that works for everything, so I just wore that. My Uta. Is that how you say it? Sorry. So
Nice job.
that worked well.
Yeah.
At the top of this, at Florley, to go up the steps, we needed additional gear. So there's required gear, because after that last swim, you're basically running 20 kilometers through very, very technical mountain fen sky running. It was very, very technical, very hard. So we had required gear. We needed a backpack, waterproof pants, waterproof jacket, cap, gloves, light. I think that was about it. 2 of the swims at the top of the steps were short.
You had to be
You
prepared.
had to be prepared. And there were people out there really late in the dark. It was raining. It was cold. So we needed that stuff. We did have to do 2 swims with the backpack, which was kind of interesting, but it worked fine. They were smaller, shorter swims, but there was definitely more gear for this race than any other swim run for sure.
Yeah, and totally warranted too. I mean, we were lucky at the weather would be amazing for us, but like had it turned, I would have been very happy to have the gear that I was required to pack, wind chill and rain and whatnot. I forget the plateaus are like what 4,000 feet or something like that. 4,500. And then I wore the Orno X. So I was really nervous about cold water, just, coming from 80-degree Fahrenheit water where I swim in July to, what becomes like 52 to 57, where kind of the water temp range is. So I was super nervous about that. I did the headband for the arc, which I think helped a lot for me actually, because I do get pretty chilly. So I think that aspect of keeping my head warm there helped quite a bit. And our buoy, our paddles, and I tried these Topo, what are they called? Topo mountain shoes, the mountain racers, which are somewhat new to me, but those worked out actually pretty well. They have a little bit more cushioning for such a longer race, but still drain pretty good.
Nice. Did you guys consider after the last swim, because you still had like a bunch of hiking to do, to like just strip out of the wetsuit and put on like dry clothes and continue that way?
I did not, honestly, and that's a good question. I think I was still pretty chilly after that second swim, and then the wind picked up a little bit while we were out there on top of the plateaus. So keeping the suit on for me, I don't even think I never really cabbed down, and it may have like zipped down partially, but I kept it on the whole time actually.
Well, actually,
Gotcha.
that was the
Yeah, makes sense.
original plan, was to have the last swim to Florley, and then we were going to change out of the wetsuit into running clothes, do the steps, and run to the finish line. That was the original plan.
Oh.
But Tor decided that, that wasn't swim run. That was like a swim run plus trail run. So he decided to cut that, and he put
He didn't
in
like it,
two
yeah.
more swims at the top of the stairs. So we needed our wetsuits. We needed all that stuff. So it turned out being a real swim run. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it didn't disappoint. And yeah, I was through some of the photos and videos. It looked like people were kind of leveraging a little bit of, saw some like trail running kind of vest or some more lighter weight packs and stuff. So it seemed like people were kind of testing out a little bit of different stuff on the gear front, which is always cool.
Yeah. For swim runner specifically, I mean, that's just not part of it. So we were all kind of like, I guess I'll try
Yeah,
this.
nobody really
See how
knew
it
what to
goes.
do. I don't think there's ever been a race like this where you had to swim in a pack, with a bunch of gear like that. So no one really knew what to do, but it worked out. I just kind of wore my.
Many ways,
What?
it's actually kind of a throwback to the original Attilas back in the day, because they made them
Yeah.
carry like a backpack, and for some of them they had to wear like life jacket in water and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
It's cool. I mean, it's another puzzle to solve, which I think for these races, there's always so many puzzles. It's like, okay, well, here's an additional one for
Yeah, it was
this.
another layer, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So okay, we got the gear covered. We got your best part of the course. What do you guys do kind of nutrition wise? Because again, a race like this, it's so long. Cameron, is this like the longest swim run you've ever done? So it's like, how are
For
you?
sure.
Oh,
Yeah. The longest
man.
swim run I've ever done. And I did a 50K in April, which was a lot less time than that. So it had been a while since I'd been out there for so long. I definitely overpacked, and I knew I did that intentionally. I knew I was carrying a little bit more weight. I think I stuffed like probably 8 gels in that Arc Kangaroo vest, which is a game changer. That thing's amazing. And then I used every bit of those until I picked up my pack. And then I did tailwind nutrition, and then I had some, what are they called? Those element little salt things. So I carried a flask in my suit for that first half of the course as well. And then I used that same thing and just put some salt in it, and then filled up in the mountain streams along the way on those plateaus.
Straight from the
And
source.
Straight from
the
the
water.
source.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's what they recommended. They're like, this is the cleanest water you'll ever find. All right. Okay. And no problem. Which was super cool, right? You're going along the trail, and it's like, you're just like this refreshing little stream. And you're like, all right, throw some water on your face. You're ready to go. Fill up your water bottle, fill up your bag, and keep going.
I love it.
Nice.
What about you, Ben? What was your sort of plan going into it nutrition wise? Now you've done a lot of long swim runs plus this race before, so you have a pretty nuanced plan there.
No, I don't plan well. I just I kind of rely on aid stations. I'm used to doing ultra runs and eating whatever they have out there, whether it's, quesadillas or burritos or soggy chips or whatever there is, I can eat it. So whenever we'd hit an aid station, I just fill up all my pockets and just grab whatever they had. And that's kind of what I do. So I don't keep track of calories per hour or anything like that. Maybe I should, but I don't. The water, the fluid is really cool because like Cam said, you're just running through the trails, the forest, and there's gonna be a little waterfall by the trail. You can fill up your cups and get as much water as you need. And there's kind of running water pretty much all along the course. So that's
Wow.
that's kind of what we were drinking. Yeah. And the last 20K was unsupported. So after you get to Florley, before you go up to the steps, that's the last aid station. So you really had to pack whatever bars, gels, food you needed to carry you through the last 5-6 hours of the race.
Right.
So that's another reason why the pack was important.
Wow.
So you kind of had to plan ahead for that. So yeah, that was another interesting wrinkle in the course, a little bit added difficulty there.
Yeah.
Wow, that's definitely that's really something. And the course usually changes every year, Ben, and how would you, I guess, compare the 2022 when you did it to the, I guess, was this the original, the OG one, if you will?
Yeah, this was the original course that they started out in 2014, and Thor brought it back for the 10-year anniversary. So in 2022, it was basically the same course as in 2022, except in 2022 they end at Florley. They go up the steps and they come back down in a little loop and they end at Florley. In this one, you run to Florley, you go up the steps, and then you run another 20K across the mountains. You get to see another really cool feature, like the boulder stuck between two rocks that people go out in and stand on top of. Like it's a famous thing to see. It's really cool. I forgot what it's called, but hanging bowl. I don't know what it's called, but it's really cool because you get to see Pulpit Rock and this boulder.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys can put a picture of it in your show. But that was the original course.
I've seen it.
Well, that's
I should look it up. I'm not prepared for this interview. I'm sorry, but it's cool.
it's
Sure.
a,
We'll give you a pass.
All the names are so difficult, you guys. Names are so hard.
no one's
of all
prepared.
these places. So hard.
yeah, it's not like in Frozen where they just make it easy for kids. So okay, so we talked about the course, we talked about gear, we've talked about nutrition. Let's talk a little bit about the future. So Ben, you're already like, I want to come back and do it next year. Cam, maybe you're still on the fence. I'm not sure.
Cameron
But,
said he was all for it.
like, what is it about this experience that you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely like a do-over? And for you, Ben, like, how does this rank up there with like a course, equally epic, but the same course every year, sort of the Swimrun World Championship? Like, how would you compare these two? They're obviously two of the harder swim runs out there, but I'm curious, kind of, why you want to do it again and how this compares to other courses.
Do you want to go first, Cam, or me?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to go back. I put so much, I'm dedicated all of my extra time, right, to train for this race. And you've put a lot of stuff on the back burner. And I don't think I necessarily needed to, but I just wanted to be so prepared. So I have a little bit of, I don't know what to call it, trauma, I guess, from that, right? It's like, oh my gosh, do I want to do that all over again to go back to this race? But honestly, I would, and I think I will. I also wouldn't mind, because I was able to talk with Trista from Team Adorkable, right? She went there to volunteer and had an amazing time as a volunteer. And I honestly would consider doing that as well, like to help support that race so other people could do the same. I think would be super cool because she did the whole course basically, just marking it. And that's why I want to go. I want to go out there to experience that course again. So I would consider doing that, but definitely would race again. I mean, it's for sure.
Yeah, same thing for me. A lot of thoughts. The first is that the abbreviated course that I did in 2022 is harder than the World Championship course. This one that we did in 2024, the full course, it's not even, it's it's not comparable at all. It's much, much, much more difficult. It's one of the most difficult. It's the most difficult race I've ever done. So I love it for that. Like Cam said, I want to go back and race it, but also Krista and Marcus and Thor, like they did so much work to put this on that I too would like to go and volunteer for it too, just to experience that. You get to experience the course, marking it, and just get to experience the event. There's something like, I hate, this is not an advertisement, but there's something very special about this event. It's something, it's not put on by a company. It's just Thor that does it. And he does it because he loves it. And that it really comes through when you race it. It's a unique race to be a part of. And I would definitely like to go back to race it and to volunteer at it. It's just an amazing place to be. And as far as the future goes, I think it's kind of an unknown what they're going to do, what Thor's going to do next year. If he's going to do the full course, if he's going to do the abbreviated course, if he's going to do it at all, maybe take a year off. It's not a given that this experience will be available for us or for anyone, in the coming years. It's a lot of work for them to put this on. So what the future holds, I have no idea, but I sincerely hope that, I have the time and opportunity to race it again, or, to volunteer so that others can have this experience, because it's just wonderful. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the future of this event.
Or be like Marcus and, mark the course he came for like 3 days before, was like full speed, just getting the race ready, and then also race.
Yeah, I think he was for 20 hours the day before marking the course, and then he raced it. So yeah, he did a lot on the course.
Animal.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
He's a beast. Well, that is a ringing endorsement. This is certainly turning to sponsored content. Chipper and I are going to have a serious conversation. I'm recording this podcast, big old heart to heart about next year's plans. But yeah, we made a meme maybe like 3 years ago that was like, all right, it was what 3 hardest swim runs, and we thought it was World Champs, Rockman, and Engadin. This was before One Water Race existed. And it was like Mecha Godzilla, and Mothra all fighting, or maybe it was Hydra, can't remember. But you guys did nothing to knock that one off, sort of like the Japanese monster top 3 list.
Yeah.
Well,
say anything more without Rockman to be even harder.
Well, what are you all doing next in terms of non-Rockman related swim runs? As it's hard for anything to really compare, but what do you have lined up for the rest of the year?
I'm gonna do North Carolina Hanging Rock.
I gotta say 2 more things about Rockman.
Oh yeah,
2 more things about Rockman. The first is
go for it.
Yeah, keep pitching it.
I just looked it up. It's called Kyrgyzstan. There you go. The boulder stuck between the rocks.
Nice.
Kyrgyzstan there. And the other thing that people might want to be interested in is, if I want to go do this event, what should I do? And I think the perfect preparation for this event is to run at least 100K, like do a 100K trail run, like the most technical, brutal 100K you can find. And that's like, I think, perfect preparation for this race, in addition to whatever regular swimming you. So those are my 2 final quick hits there. Sorry. Okay, go Cam. What do you do next?
That's
good. Good training tips.
Right. I walked away from that thinking I should have done a lot more squats, and probably the Stairmaster. I don't know if anything could have prepared me for all those stairs, to be honest. You just do them, right? You just get it done. But yeah, I should have done a lot more squats, I think, in the gym. But I'm glad I did a 50K prior. I think that helped a lot. 50K trail race. I did that in April, a couple months before, and that just at least helped prime me some trail. And
all right, now back to Chipper's question. So Cam, you're doing Swimrun
NC.
I'm gonna do Swimrun NC. Yeah, I've only done it one time before, and quite a memorable race too. It's just so beautiful here in October there. So I'm really excited about that.
I'll be at Worlds in a couple weeks, and then I'm doing Orcas with Team Darkwave. and that's what I got on the docket.
Ooh,
Nice.
Nice.
I love it. That's like the the North American double. You go do Worlds and then just swing right over to
Yeah, right over to Orcas.
just
Yeah,
ride
see
that
if I can.
fitness.
That was Team Darkwave's debut race, correct? Orcas?
Was it? I don't know. Maybe. I don't remember. We've done a lot. I should
I mean,
know.
you should know.
We'll have to
Yeah.
check.
We'll check the tapes.
Thank you. I think it might have been Worlds last year, actually. So I think it was Worlds last year with the Darkwave debut.
Nice.
Oh,
Wait, you guys didn't do Casco or something before then?
Well, we raced a ton of other races.
Well,
Team
anyway,
name.
anyway.
we have
No,
we have
haven't. We had a
historical
different
rec-
team name when we were coming up, but then when we made it big time, we
Oh, that's
rebranded.
right.
Yeah.
It's a
You had to rebrand.
That's right. They rebranded
Yeah,
for
it's
the
a-
Low Tide Boyz appearance. That's
That's
when
right, it was an
that was their
exclusive.
yeah,
No, it all
exclusive.
makes
That's
sense.
right.
It all makes
Okay.
check
That's right.
check
It's all,
our wiki.
it all came back. Oh my God.
Uh,
Well, hey guys, it's been awesome to catch up with you guys. Thank you so much for sharing, what's non-sponsored / sponsored content about Rockman. I mean, the race this year looked epic. Marka, our good friend Rasmus Ladinius did the video for it. If you haven't seen that,
Yeah.
we'll link it in the show notes. It's just amazing. So with that, thank you guys so much for coming on and sharing your stories. We'll see you out
thank
there.
you. Thank you. I'm glad we were able to. Thanks.
You guys should check out the pictures they did for this
For
event.
sure.
The pictures are amazing. The person taking these pictures, they all look epic. That was another cool thing about the race is the pictures are amazing.
Yeah.
Cam has this picture.
One thing about
Prime
swim
media.
running,
Cam
is they
has a
know how to
picture where
photograph.
he looks like a superhero. He looks like a member of the Avengers. Check it out on Facebook. It's incredible. I
Not the word.
I have
he
a
has to
hard
be
time
a different
believing
event.
that he wasn't
Yeah,
like
yeah, that's true.
posing for this picture.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I have a hard time believing. It looks too good. It looks too
Totally
good.
natural.
His bicep is like popping. You guys got to check out these pictures.
He's like pointing.
It's
like,
going to be
"What's
on
that over
the
there?"
YouTube tile now.
The pictures are really good.
We'll find it. I love it. I love it. All right, guys. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much.
Awesome.
see ya.
Great.
That's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a rating or review, since that's the best way to help other people discover the show and the sport of swim run.
Check out our website, lowtideboys.com. That's boys with a Z, for swimrun resources, including gear guides, tips, how-to videos, and so much more. Make sure to check out our meme page at The Low Tide Boyz on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, send us a DM or email us at lowtideboys@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Riding Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swim run and other activities.
Lots of activities.
Lots of activities.
Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
Then a run,
And then a swim,
then another run,
then another swim.
then run some more.
Just keep going.
Let's go.
And then stop at some point because,
And fuel. Don't forget to fuel.
Gotta fuel
Of
too.
course, yes.